And there will be some Urdu poets or like Mankabal form who will come and be a part of the program, because in today's session over here we have people from Pakistan, we have people from like Arabic speaking, Farsi speaking. So that's kind of like one of the things that we want to bring to bear. Like it's not like one community. It's not like Brother Frank said, who is here. It's not an Indo-Pak cultural fraternity event. It's an event. It's a place where we come to learn about the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam. So, salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So as Brother Mehdi is not feeling well, he is our official MC, so I'm just filling his role. We have a whole list of speakers, with the keynote being Dr. Hazim, Dr. Hazim's daughter, Nasreen will be speaking, Nakash will be speaking, and then there will be some other poetry, if the person comes on time. So with that, bear with me as I do the MC. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Nabiyyi Muhammad al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam wa ahli baytihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin al-muslimin al-ma'sumin. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum. We gather here today on this blessed occasion on the birth of Syeda Zainab AS, to not only reflect on her towering legacy that she has left and the timeless teachings that resonate through history, but also on the messages that we can take in our lives today and going forward, especially with the name of this center being Dar-e-Zainab as the place of Syeda Zainab AS. So this particular commemoration and the lessons become much more important than just any event that we have. So she devoted her life to truth, justice, and knowledge. She was the blessed granddaughter of the Prophet and the sister of Imams Hassan and Hussein alayhi salam. Obviously, you will hear more about her. I do want to highlight something, that it is this spirit that we must capture as we strive towards a brighter future. The spirit that she stood up in front of injustice, in front of the tyrants, in front of that oppressive regime at the time, and spoke the truth without being politically correct, without being apprehended by what was happening. And this is a message that we should all embrace in our lives, because we have been having these discussions, especially about the time that we're living in, and one thing is very clear, that the vision of Dar-e-Zainab calls on us to restore the covenant of Ghadir. Because as long as that covenant is broken, there is a curse on the entire humanity. There is a curse on the Muslim Ummah. We can have everything, all the assets, all the power, everything, but there is this curse that will not come and that will not be resolved till that covenant is restored. So with that, I would like to invite Brother Abid Rizvi for Hadith Kisa. Mazbuka bi salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum.
Durood bhaiya Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
I'll be reciting Hadith Kisa. And in the process, when I'm reciting the Durood, please join me at that time. And then you will feel the presence of Ahlul Bayt, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. عن جابر بن عبد الله الأنصاري أنه قال عن فاطمة الزهراء عليه السلام بنت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله قال سمعت فاطمة أنها قالت دخل علي أبي رسول الله في بعض الأيام فقال السلام عليك يا فاطمة فقلت عليك السلام
قال إني أجد في بدني ضعفا فقلت له أعوذك بالله يا أبتاه من الضعف فقال يا فاطمة أيديني بالقصاء اليماني فغطيني به فأتيته بالقصاء اليماني فغطيته به وسرت أنظر إليه وإذا وجهه يتلألأ كأنه البدر في ليلة تمامه وكماله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا ببلدي الحسن قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي فقال يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله فقلت نعم إن جدك تحت الكساء فأقبل الحسن نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده يا رسول الله يا تأذن لي أن أدخل معك تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا صاحب حوزي قد أذنت لك فدخل معه تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا ببلدي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني وسمرة فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت نعم إن جدك وهاك تحت الكساء فدنا الحسين نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا جده والسلام عليك يا من اختاره الله وتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت الكساء فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك ودخل معهما تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت وعليك السلام يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين وقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رائحة طيبة كأنها رائحة أخي وابن أمي رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو مع ولديك تحت الكساء فأقبل علي نحو الكساء وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال له وإليك السلام يا أخي ويا وسيب خليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ثم أتيت نحو الكساء وقلت السلام عليك يا أبتاه يا رسول الله تأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت الكساء قال عليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بزتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت الكساء أهدى برسول الله بطرفي الكساء وعما بيد اليمنى إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلمني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم ونحب لمن هاربهم وسلم لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن عاداهم ومحب لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم واذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان سماوات إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرض مدهية ولا قمر منير ولا شمس مزية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا في محبة هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت الكساء فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا ربي ومن تحت الكساء فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال جبرائيل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معكم سادسا فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك فحدث الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرئ السلام ويخصك بالتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سماء مبنية ولا أرض مدهية ولا قمر منير ولا شمس مزية ولا فلك يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحبتكم وقد أذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام يا أمين وهي الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت الكساء اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال لأبي إن الله قد أوحى عليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم الرجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوسنا هذا تحت الكساء من الفضل عند الله فقال النبي والذي باسني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وخفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا فقال علي إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيعتنا ورب الكعبة اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد فقال النبي ثانيا يعني والذي باسني بالحق نبيا واستفاني بالرسالة نجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في محفل من محافل أهل الأرض وفيه جمع من شيعتنا ومحبينا وفيه محموم إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموم إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وأكز الله حاجته فقال علي نزم الله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيعتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
أحسنت أحسنت جزاك الله.
So the message of Syeda Zainab AS is a universal message. It transcends age groups, it transcends ethnicities, it transcends nationalities, it transcends languages. So with that being said, that is our responsibility to take this message of Ahlul Bayt alayhis salam to not only our communities, especially the youth. That is a responsibility that is upon us. But also to the people who do not know about the Ahlul Bayt al-Islam. The 95% of this country have no idea what Muslim, the true Islam is. And that should be our focus of creating that critical mass to somehow take this message, the true Islam, to beyond those who already know it from their parents. With that, I would like to invite Nakash, our upcoming speaker. He is in middle school, I believe. And with a loud salawat, please welcome Nakash.
Salam everyone. Today I want to talk about someone who is a great role model for all of us. Syeda Zainab, the daughter of Imam Ali and Syeda Fatima. Syeda Zainab was a granddaughter of Prophet Muhammad. She was born in Medina and was respected for her wisdom, knowledge, and piety even as a child. Zainab was loving, called Al-Aqila, which means the wise one. She was also known for her courage and elegance. Zainab witnessed many difficult times after the murder of her brother Imam Hussein in the tragedy of Karbala. Zainab showed amazing strength, courage, and wisdom. When their caravan was captured by Yazid's army, Zainab gave sermon exposing their cruelty. She spoke bravely and stood up to Yazid in his own court. Zainab took care of the survivors of Karbala especially the children, and kept the message of Islam alive. So what lesson can we learn from Syeda Zainab's life? First, she teaches us to be brave, especially when facing injustice. She spoke the truth with courage, even in the face of danger. Secondly, Zainab shows us the importance of wisdom and patience. She was able to control her anger and grief and use wise words to expose evil. Finally, Syeda Zainab never gave up hope. Even after tardily, she relied on her strong faith in Allah. Zainab inspired us to keep moving forward no matter how difficult life gets. Syeda Zainab faced huge challenges in her life, but she never backed down. Her strength and resolution and of amazing. She is a role model of standing up for justice. Let us follow Zainab's example. Be brave in facing problems, control our anger with wisdom, and keep faith in Allah during hard times. If we can be even a little like Syeda Zainab, we can achieve great things. Salawat.
Good job.
So, thank you, Nikash. As we all know, it has been 1400 years since the event of Karbala. And if you think about the life of Syeda Zainab AS, obviously she is known as Safida Bani Hashim. Her impact was 2 years probably from the time of Karbala, from the journey started till she passed away. She was like so frail at that time that she passed away within a year or 2 years of the event of Karbala. But the impact of her struggle has lasted for 1400 years. So it's a lesson for us that if we have the courage to speak the truth, if we can unveil the deception, if we can bring unity and bring the message to the broader community, we can accomplish big things. But if we keep ourselves secluded in a small community and say that we can survive as is, yes, we will survive, but what are we doing for the message that Syeda Zainab in those 2 years preached, which has lasted for 1400 years? And for that 1400 years, that message was conveyed through generations, but Syeda Zainab was a woman. So think about a woman and having that strength to convey the message. So it's again really important for us to engage as a community, especially the women, not only men. And my next speaker, the guest speaker, is Nasreen Abu Shawa, amazing activist, and she is an amazing orator. And obviously, once you hear from a person, from her, the aspect of Syeda Zainab, it will be very inspiring, inshallah. Let's welcome her with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على فاطمة وأبيها وبالها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها بعدد ما أحاط به علمه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Brother Farhan, for this kind introduction, though I know that this is definitely more than what I deserve. But in fact, actually, I have to say, it's been a while since, I've been up on the podium. I think it's an honor to be back onto the podium to actually talk about one of the most honorable of personalities, not just one of the most honorable personalities in Islam, but a woman who is not like none other woman. And today we are gathered here, in fact, just a few hours away from the night of the Wiladat of Syeda Zainab AS. I want to share first a few words. It was the 5th day. It was the 5th day of the Islamic month. It was the 5th year after Hijrah. She was born in the purest household in existence. Her father was Ali. Her mother was Fatima. Her brothers were Hassan and Hussein. Encircled by Noor of Imama and Wilaya, she is Zainab, a woman better than a ton of men. A character who shattered history with her living legacy. A walking source of knowledge, the caretaker of women and children in the midst of calamities. Wisdom, patience, and fortitude was her banner. A leader like none other leader. She is Zainab. She is Thania al-Zahra, the second after Zahra. She is indeed al-Masa'ib, the mother of calamities. She is the Fakhr al-Mukhaddarat wa Aqilat al-Talibin. She has reached a status that cannot be measured, but can only be treasured. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So congratulations, brothers and sisters, to each one of you. This is an honor that you're sitting here in, it's a Saturday. A lot of people are planning their activities to do something else, but you're all here taking out of your time to celebrate in honor of this special lady. I would like to share a few words about her noble character. Of course, it's very, very difficult. It's just a few minutes. And what am I going to talk about? There's so much to say. I would only be scratching the surface of her beautiful personalities. But I'm just going to try to go on a few points regarding her personality. The first thing I wanted to mention that her name, specifically her name, was not just a name that she was given. It was actually from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when she was born and she came to the eyes of Syeda Zahra alayhi salam, Syeda Zahra alayhi salam looked at Imam Ali, her husband of course, and asked him to name her. And upon hearing this, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, "Oh Zahra, or Ya Zahra, I can't take precedence of your father." So look at the akhlaq of Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, that this is his daughter, but he still wants to seek the blessings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he will name her. And then what we find happening is that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam then passes it on to Jibreel, because he felt that even with his holiness, the blessedness of this beautiful baby, Syeda Zainab, as we know her today, is beyond even than the Prophet ﷺ, that he ended up asking Hazrat Jibreel for advice to reveal her name. And indeed, Jibreel alayhi salam revealed her name, and of course anything from Jibreel is straight from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's Samiha Zainab. Name her Zainab. And so what does Zainab mean? Zainab consists of two parts of the word Zain and Ab. Zain, as you may already know, it means decoration. Something that beautifies something. And Ab means the father. So if you put that two and two together, it's the decoration of her father. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So this was, one of the blessed and probably the miracle. Anything that we receive from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is considered a miracle. Her name is a miracle, and this is why it's highly recommended, of course, to name your daughters Zainab in her honor. But we also see that whenever we talk about Syeda Zainab, and even though I know we are talking about, we are celebrating, this is a happy occasion, alhamdulillah, but when we even think of Syeda Zainab or mention her name, there is some sadness that falls into our hearts, that in the midst of our happiness, there's also tears in our eyes, because everything that we know about Syeda Zainab and her life is really all masa'ib. From her childhood, as she was the household of the Prophet ﷺ, from Sayyida Fatima Zahra alayhi salam and what happened with the door and her demise, to Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam, the loss of her father, to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam and how he was poisoned, and then of course the biggest of calamities, her brother, and that in and of itself is a whole session to be taken there. And we see that the Prophet ﷺ, as he's holding this blessed baby, he knows, of course, he knows everything and what she's going to be going through, and he starts to tear up. Of course, this is not necessarily a normal thing to tear up on a happy occasion. And when he was asked, he started to mention that this baby is going to go through a lot in her lifetime. And and of course, particularly in what all the events that will happen in Karbala. Fatima alayhi salam then asked, what would be the reward or ajr of someone that would cry on this baby, on this daughter, Zainab, and what she went through? Well, the response of the Prophet ﷺ was that the reward of the person would be the same as the reward of crying for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. So imagine, we all know, everyone knows about the rewards of crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. Well, even crying for Syeda Zainab, this is exactly the same as the reward for that. And this shows her maqam and her high status in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we learn here is that whatever is connected with Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, there's a direct correlation between Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam and Syeda Zainab. So even one of the recommended acts, and of course on this night and tomorrow and these days of commemoration, and a beautiful thing that you can do is to recite ziyarah of Syeda Zainab alayhi salam and gift it to Imam al-Hussein. Imagine how much happiness you're bringing to the heart of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi. And now, continuing with this discussion about Syeda Zainab and her knowledge, we all also know the saying of Imam Zain al-Abidin when he talked about Syeda Zainab alayhi salam. He referred her and he said to her, "Inti wallahi alimatun ghayru mu'allamatin wa fahimatun ghayru mufahamatin." What does this mean? He's saying, "Oh dear aunt, your status is such that you have been granted knowledge without having a teacher, and understanding without any need for instructions." And now, this statement is very, very speaking of highly of Syeda Zainab's status, because you have this. This is not just a recommendation that your co-worker or your boss is giving you, right? This is coming from an imam that is masoom. So if an imam says something about you, rest assured this is not just something to fluff you up. This is very high. And this means that the level of her knowledge is something more than we can imagine. So let's keep this in mind, and then let's now shift over to Karbala and post what happened in Karbala. As we all know, Syeda Zainab alayhi salam saw the worst of tragedies on the day of Ashura and the night of Ashura and everything that she went through. As Brother Farhan and also the brother who gave that nice words of poetry mentioned, is that really she was fighting oppression, and what worse of an oppression can be than what happens to Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, and what happens of course to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, her own blood and flesh, right? So what do we see in the course of the events that happened after? Now, unfortunately, I have to say this, that in our cultures, there is sometimes this understanding, and Brother Farhan mentioned it lightly, and I intended to elaborate a little bit more, that the woman is basically seen as a weak personality, as a personality that should just kind of keep quiet when there's an injustice that's happening, whether it's, let's say, what's going on with Gaza these days and attending protests. Some men might have this mentality that, it's for men to go and attend. But the woman, it's okay, just sit home and just raise your hand and do dua, and that's enough. No, we don't see this from the example of Syeda Zainab alayhi salam. She's on the front lines. She's on the front lines, raising her voice, and this is a metaphor, not in the terms of volume, but within her own modesty, within the parameters of the akhlaqiyat of what is expected for a woman in Islam. She is seen to speak up against oppression in the most noble of manners, with wisdom, with hikmah. So what this means is that we as ladies, right? Ladies, if you guys can just pay attention, as ladies, really on this night, we have to be mindful and we have to feel empowered. Just because you have been oppressed, just because someone, and all of us, granted, each one of us, even the brothers, there's some level of oppression that has happened to you. Maybe someone took your money, maybe someone said something bad against you, maybe someone took your right, maybe someone hurt your feelings, the list can go on and on. As a woman, does it mean oh, you're a woman, just, be quiet, you can't say anything, oh, just hush, hush? Absolutely not. And we don't have any better example than Syeda Zainab, who is the most dignified of personalities, who went in the court of Yazid, where there's men. But she went in the most honorable way, with her hijab, knowing well that whatever she says, and I'll ask you, when she went in front of Yazid Lanatullah alayhi, in that court, some people may say, well, what's done is done. What's the point? Is that going to bring back the head of Imam al-Hussein back onto his blessed body? Can anyone answer that? Is that going to bring that back? No, right? Can that bring back the blood that has been shed? The 72 martyrs. May Allah bless each one of them. And bring back that haqq, or it's done deal. Can that bring back Ali al-Akbar? Can that bring back Ali al-Asghar? And the list goes on and on and on. But yet, she could have said, you know what? What's done is done. And usually, the natural reaction when you have such a tyrant, such a taghut, it's like, imagine if you're home and you have like a thief that came into your house. The first thing that comes to your mind is get out, leave, right? That's a natural reaction. And so imagine if you have the family of your household, everyone killed in such a brutal way, and they're all men, they're killed. The natural reaction, especially as a woman, now you have all these kids and children and women that you're responsible, is that you flee, you get out of here. You want to send us to Kufa? Take us to Kufa. You just let us get away from you, right? But no, she still insisted to go and talk to him and say, you know what? You did wrong. And she said this in front of all the men, with her honor, with her dignity. Because this was a mawqif. This was a moment of truth. Otherwise, we would be walking around in this life like animals, right? If you can't even defend yourself and say, you know what? Especially if you are the madloom, to say, you know what? This is wrong. And you hurt me. With your honor, with your dignity. Then, what did we learn from Imam al-Hussein's legacy? What did we learn from Syeda Zainab AS? Otherwise, then you were oppressing yourself with your own hands. And there really is nothing worse than doing dhulm to yourself. Doing dhulm to yourself by your silence, whether it's dhulm that has happened to you or dhulm that has happened to someone else. And you keep quiet, it's not acceptable. So I hope that from this night, from this blessed night, and we get reminded and we get empowered by what Syeda Zainab empowered us, because this is not just storytelling, right? When we hear about Syeda Zainab going in front of Yazid, in front of these men, and being strong and saying no and giving a speech, this says a lot. That's number one. The other thing that I want to say, and this now goes to the men, shifting to the men, right? This is not just for women. This is a night for men to think, reflect, right? Is that women have a really high status in Islam. Of course, piety is the marker, right? But your woman, make sure you safeguard your woman. Because Allah can forgive a lot of things. But except if you do dhulm to your woman, if you do abuse, if you dismiss her complaints, if you do anything like that, I will just leave you with one line, and I think you can reflect, and we see that Imam al-Mahdi Ajjallahu Farajahu al-Sharif, with everything that went in Karbala, everything, all the masa'ib, right? When in Dua, when he says that I'm crying tears, and Imam says, what are you crying tears about? Because of Imam al-Hussein and his slaughtered body? Is it that because he's body was left in for 3 days without shroud? Is it because of Ali al-Akbar? Is it because of Al-Qasim? And so on and so forth. He said no. What was the most thing that was painful for him? And this is also narrated from Imam Zainab AS as well. When Imam Zainab said, Asham, Asham, Asham. And also Imam al-Mahdi said that what happened to the captives of the Holy Prophet, to the women and the children. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means there's a high emphasis on the delicate status of a woman, that you don't hurt her feelings. That you have to, this is part of your ibadah. You have to consider her feelings and make sure that as much as you can, you put, she's a flower of your eyes, right? And there is not anything that can be excused for you in front of the Imam, in front of the Imams, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, that we can't be crying for Imam al-Hussein when we are doing injustice to our sister, to our daughter, to our mother, to our mothers. Our mothers, let's not forget our mothers, right? All of these are examples, or to any woman, female in our community. I leave you with that, and inshallah I hope that we, and this is a reminder to myself again, that we can be empowered on this night to speak up against justice, number one. Number two, to try to take more effort in dealing with the women in our lives with more delicacy, and this is all in line with the manhaj and the legacy of Syeda Zainab and Ahl al-Bayt alayhi salam. Sallu ala Muhammad wa alihi.
اللهم صل على محمد.
So without any delay, our next speaker will be Dr. Hatim. He will be the keynote speaker. I'll just take 1 minute and mention something that Dr. Hatim mentioned. Apart from everything that you just listened about Syeda Zainab AS, Dr. Hatim, for those who haven't come to these sessions, the Saturday School has been talking about the creation of the universe and what was the first creation that Allah made. That was the Nur of the Prophet, and how the Nur of the Prophet, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Syeda Fatima Zahra, and all the Imams are connected. Imam Hassan, Imam Hussain, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And that was like the first of creation. And there will be videos at some point that you can refer to why it is so important to understand that they are the first creation, and everything becomes understandable. Now, in that context, consider Syeda Zainab. She was the daughter of the Nur of Allah in the form of Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the form of Syeda Fatima Zahra. She was the sister of the Nur of Allah in the form of Imam Hassan and Imam Hussain Islam. So she has a special place. And with that, I'll invite Dr. Hatim to give the keynote speech. Thank you, Dr. Hatim.
Thank you so much.
مشبوقة والصلوات على محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everybody. Hopefully you didn't get tired of me. Keep talking about the day. Yes. Mubarak to all of you, the wilada of our مولاتنا سيدتنا حبيبة قلوبنا سيدة زينب بنت أمير المؤمنين عليها وعلى أبيها وأمها وأخواتها أفضل التحية والسلام والصلاة والسلام عليهم أجمعين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. Syeda Zainab alayhi salam has been born on the 5th year of the Hijrah in Medina. So if we know that Imam al-Hassan has been born on the 3rd year of the Hijrah, Imam al-Hussein in the 4th year of the Hijrah, and Syeda Zainab on the 5th year of the Hijrah. So there was just 1 year difference between each one of them. 1 year between Imam al-Hassan and Imam al-Hussein, and 1 year between Imam al-Hussein and Syeda Zainab. We have to keep that in mind. So that's why they are very close. They grow up as twins, right? When you have a sister just 1 year between you, that is show how much the closeness they have. The aspect of greatness of Syeda Zainab alayhi salam is endless. But we want to shed a light on what is concern us here, because alhamdulillah, this place it not just carries the name of Zainab alayhi salam, it carries the name of the Dar-e-Zainab. That means the home of Zainab. When you talk about the home, means if you look at any remote control, when you click on the home button, it gives you all the options. That is the place of the all options for Syeda Zainab. What is the legacy of Syeda Zainab? Let's just away from the emotion and the sorrow and the calamities and all of this stuff, because that's what concerns us here in this blessed place. The first thing which you can think about Syeda Zainab alayhi salam, how this lady in the mid of all calamities, in the center of all tough times, in the mid of losing everybody in her family, and not bodies like us, no, people like Ali al-Akbar, like Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, like the companions of Imam Hussein, like Al-Qasim, like Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. You lost all of them. Even from all these calamities and the darkness, what was so unique regarding Syeda Zainab alayhi salam, that she has a vision for the future. And that's what this place is all about. Vision. Why she has a vision? Because the vision is how to look at the future. She was, even with all this darkness and grieving process, she was optimistic. When the tyrant asked her with Shamata, did you see what Allah did for you and your father and your nephews? What she told him? ما رأيت إلا جميلا. So that is the first lesson we have to learn, to be optimistic, even among the worst of calamities. And this is something very rare to find anybody like that. That in the mid of all grieving process, you find a person as a source of light, who give hopes to others. That is the beginning of the vision. Optimistic. Look for the hope. Don't look at the back, because days are coming. So Syeda Zainab alayhi salam, she has a vision for the future. Even with the Imam of her time, Imam Zain al-Abidin, when he was in the middle of his griefs for his father and his family, she told him, oh, my son, don't worry. I see that grave of your father one day will be a very big shrine. One day, all the people from everywhere will come and gather around this grave site. And the legacy of your grandfather will be even precedes the history. The history can't accommodate the legacy of your father. So don't worry. See how the hope? See how the hope for a female who lost everybody in her family and lost everything in this life, even her tent, even her belongings, everything. Nothing left. Even her hijab, they want to snatch it from her. But she still, among all this darkness, she has a vision. Vision based on what? Ya Syeda Zainab, we ask you tonight, this vision, it come from where? It come first from her knowledge. As you listen now, أنك عالمة غير معلمة. She's so knowledgeable. So knowledge was number one in her vision. And that's what we are doing here. We want to be a source for knowledge. Not just for children, you drop your children and you go home. No, we want to the whole family. Fathers before the mothers. Why? Because fathers are or will be asked in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about his children. Not the mothers. Don't fool yourself. No, it is the responsibility of the father if your son get misguided, God forbid, or lost his way, or get lost in this Western civilization, you are responsible in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I'm not talking for myself. That is the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, كَفَى بِالْمَرْءِ إِثْمًا أَنْ يُضَيَّعَ مَنْ يَعُولُ. It is enough a big sin for any person to lost his children. That is a responsibility. So, unfortunately, we, for the things which Allah guaranteed for us, we too concerned about it. While the things which will be questioned about it, oh, we are negligent. So, we are running after the risk. While Allah guarantees your risk, even if you didn't do anything, it will come to you. Absolutely. That's part of our iman. But raising your children, that is not guaranteed. That is your effort. That is your job. Number one and number two and number three. That is why one of the deeds which will keep giving you good deeds in your grave, ولد صالح يدعو له. This الولد الصالح, this good son or good daughter, come from where? From your raising. From your raising. One day in Ghadir, one person 90 years old died. So his son was about 70 years old, come crying and ask me, what can I do for my father? My father dead now, what can I do? I told him, you can recite the Quran for him. He said, I didn't know how to recite Quran. I told him, recite the Fatiha, at least. He told me, my father didn't teach me how to recite the Fatiha. What do you think about that? No, you have to be here before your children. Actually, whatever we are teaching them, many of these things they didn't understand. They need you to teach it to them. And there is a big difference when they listen to the knowledge from my mouth than to listen to the same knowledge from your mouth. Because you are the father. They will listen to you. They will not listen to me. So that is one of the very important part of the mission of Syeda Zainab. عالمة غير معلمة, the knowledge. And second, she focused more on what? She lost everything. But she focused more on what? On the children. The orphans who accompanied her. For them, she was a mother. She was a guardian. She was a caretaker. And she was a teacher at the same time. That's why you find among all these calamities, when one of the children, hungry, thirsty, some people in the Kufa give them a piece of bread to eat. She told them, no, we are the household of the Prophet. We are not allowed to take the sadaqah. She is teaching all the time, so no wonder all those orphans grow to be great scholars and great females in the history of Islam after that. That's part of her vision. Yes, they were able to kill Imam Hussein. They will never be able to kill the legacy of the Prophet or Imam Ali or Imam Hussein alayhi salam. That's part of her vision. After the knowledge, the children, the future. That is part of our mission. We learn from Syeda Zainab how to focus on the children, how to take care of our children. Those flowers are the future of Islam. They are young now, but after a few years, they will become teenagers and they will become in their 20s in the universities. And after that, they will become fathers and mothers. The future of Islam in their hands. That's why we have to give all the care to the children, how to raise them, how to educate them, how to give them the attention, but most important of all, how to have something called character. Syeda Zainab was able to challenge the tyrant. Why? What was so unique about her? That she has character. She has demeanor. What is the value of the child if you didn't teach him how to have self-confidence, how to stand here and give a speech, how to lead Salat al-Jum'ah and give the Jum'ah speech. That is all teach him how to build his character. Not to be shy all the time, or on the isolation side, or he knows the truth but he can't say it out loud, or he can't talk in front of other people. No character here. That is one of the things which we suffer in our new generation. They didn't have such a character. They didn't, because we didn't give them the chance to mature, to grow and mature, and take the leadership. Why we didn't have to wait until we die and then they carry the flag? Why we didn't hand the flag to them from now? To prepare them from now, from very young age. He should lead the prayer. He should be able to stand here and give you a speech about Syeda Zainab, Syeda Fatima Zahra, Imam Hussein, anyone. Your children, they are the leader of the future. That is one of the vision of Syeda Zainab AS, and one of our vision in Dar-e-Zainab, to prepare the upcoming generation, to lead, to carry the flag of Muhammad and Al Muhammad. If all this knowledge of Muhammad and Al Muhammad reach us today, that's because of Syeda Zainab AS. If she didn't put that effort, all the legacy of the Prophet, all the school of Ahlul Bayt will be eradicated with the killing of Imam Hussein after Karbala. Everything will be end. Nothing will left. But because of her vision and because of her effort, all this continue for 1400 years until reach us, and inshallah it will continue to the future until the appearance of Imam al-Zaman Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajah al-Sharif. But that will not happen by itself or automatic. It needs an effort from us. It needs to invest in our children. It needs us to have a vision for the future. It needs us to make a reform in other centers, which just focus in cultural things, and sometimes focusing in collecting money and raising money, and that's it. That's it, nothing else. While the youth are going wild everywhere. They lost the touch between the older generation and the youth, because sometimes you just want to enforce them on the culture. Imam Ali alayhi salam said that don't force on your children the things which you learn or you used to practice with your father, because they have been created for a different time. You can't. But to do that, you have to have a vision. That is why we have for this place, which inshallah we hope later on will be able to have a bigger place when we have more activities. For all of that, we need a vision. We're not just making a place to come and celebrate the wilada or to make the majalis and dismiss like any other center. No. We have to make a real progress. That is the true sunnah of Syeda Zainab AS. That is Dar-e-Zainab AS. This family academy should give birth to two very important things very soon, inshallah. First, a regular school for the children. But to recruit the teachers for that school, where will we recruit them? From you, from the parents. You should be the teacher of those children later on. And second, inshallah, very soon, after that, we should give birth to something called the Children of Zainab, which will be an organization, a youth organization, to take care of all this youth and to belong to them, to give them the matter in their hand. Then they carry out the affair of these centers and other centers too. That is their future. That is one of our goals, to proceed with these objectives for the future. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us and help all those who come together to cooperate to achieve this great mission. As long as we have a vision, then we have a mission to apply this vision. Those Israelis, they have this vision to have a land in Palestine since 1800. But they keep working to achieve this vision tireless for 150 years, constantly, with perseverance and determination until they achieved it. We are not less than them. We have a higher goals. This is service of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The knowledge and the way of Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, that is so precious. We can't waste it. Our youth and our children, we get lost to them for the non-Shia, for the secularity we are living in, especially in this country. We can't afford to leave them for that. And then we come and cry, oh, the education, they teaching the kids the gender problem and the homosexuality. And no, this is your problem. If you vaccinate your child, he will never be affected by that. But if you abandon your children and think that the mother can take the job and I have just to bring money, that's no wonder after sometimes you find your children going that way. And you start to curse and to complain from America. It is not America. It is you. That is why we have this mission here. Take care of our children, be optimistic, education and the education and the education, knowledge and the knowledge and the knowledge. And we educate the core, not the crust. We educate the interior, not the exterior. Because if you educate the interior, your education will last forever. But if you educate the exterior only, as all the Islamic centers are doing, this kind of education, you get lost like that. Like a drop of alcohol. It will go. It will never last. That's why we start any education from very early beginning. From the story of the creation of the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they can understand. They will become easy victims for the non-Shia questions and arguments and all of that, and they find themselves, yes, what is this? Why Imam Ali? Why the Allah created everything? What is the meaning of that? And then you lost them. Because he didn't have the story from very early beginning. Nobody told them that. Nobody. Even the scholars. So I hope, inshallah, that we'll be able to achieve this mission, which is based on a clear vision from all those people who are taking care of that place. And inshallah, with the blessings, yes, we suffer a lack of everything. But that is always the tradition of any true, real movement. Tell me one true, real movement correct on the path of Allah which starts with luxury and a lot of money. Nothing. Nothing. Even the Prophet himself, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, started from what? Nothing. Nothing. He does not have any financial resources. Nothing. No support, animosity from everyone. But he still, because that is the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as you are with him, he will be with you and will grant you success. Inshallah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.